Hello, listeners. Hello, superstars. It's Christopher Pepper, the 377-game superstar of the East Keilor Football Club and the co-host with the most, Jamie the J-Dog Wallis, here to present to you the Round 18 Season 2022 review. A huge weekend of footy. A weekend of footy that will go down in history as one of the least viewed of all time, I reckon, Jamie. There were some absolute shocking games on the weekend. But I tell you what, there were some ones that got a little bit of movement in the shorts. If you're joining us for the first time, thank you very much for joining the Lace Outlaws, our Lace Out community. And if you're back again for another dose of Peps and J-Dog, welcome back. We love having you. Big fella, It was our two teams going against each other on the weekend. There was a bit of love. We had a bit of going back and forth. More importantly, it's great to see you and how you're going.
I'm very well. Sorry, everyone. I had a week off last week. I got hit with the flu, but the non-spicy variety. If you're looking at it on an Indian menu, it's the one chili option.
Ooh. So it wasn't the habanero.
No,
it was more of a sweet Thai chili.
It wasn't the flu with the side of COVID. It was just the flu. So
no sides.
Funny enough, Peps, it knocked me around more than the other one.
The Rona.
Than the Rona. Yeah, it really got me. I was knackered for 3 days. I text you and I'm like, mate, I'm absolutely effed. I cannot do this show with you tonight. I am not out of my bed. And you went solo, and let me say, smashed out of the park. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
It was interesting going hand solo for the first time in about 4 years. It was interesting.
You did well.
All I'll say is it was nice. It was fun to do, but it's great to have you back on board, regardless of the condition that you're in. My weekend was quite simple. Watched a bit of footy. The daughter's got COVID. That's about it.
No, yep. She's been struck down. The 2IC.
Yep, May, I got the Rona. So the boys we're still haven't been voted out of Survivor yet. So Noah and I are still in the game. But yeah, she's gone down. So she's day 4, I think. So she's still got a few more days to get to, but I think she's just bored. But I'll tell you what, mate, can't be bored over the weekend of footy. So we're going to be going through everything as per normal. Ladder, around the grounds, lots of contract news, spin and magnets, rising stars, splashing the cash. Question of the week, 1 week at a time. You name it, we've all got it. But
I'm going to give that to you this week, Peps.
What's that?
Question of the week. You just last week you had it. You put a couple. You hit them twice with a question of the week. 2.
Well, I had one question, and then as we started doing the broadcast, the second one sort of came to fruition, and I went, I'm going to do that one.
Yeah.
But I will have a question, and I've actually got one from last week, which I was going to use that I didn't use, that I'm going to use.
Okay.
It's all about restaurateurs. And when you go out with friends.
Well, you and I don't have those, so...
We don't have any of those, but that's okay. We still love life. Rightio. Let us get into this, J-Dog. Let's have a look, first and foremost, at the... Let's have a look at the ladder. Now, The ladder is quite interesting at the moment because, once again, nobody wants to lock their spot in the 8.
Oh.
It's almost getting boring that it is this exciting. So,
Yes.
Cats and D's are sitting on 52 points. The Cats, once again, they had the audit again 2 weeks in a row, this time against Carlton, and they did the job, and they are the premiership favourite. Let's just say it now. They are the premiership favourite for this season.
Lock them in?
No doubt. My concern, are they peaking too early? But I'd rather be peaking in that condition and taking a step backwards than some of the other teams are travelling, including mine, which is the Melbourne Football Club on 52 points as well, like we said. All right. 3 teams and only 2 spots available in the top 4. Brisbane, Fremantle and Collingwood. Then you have the Sydney Swans and Carlton on 44. Then you have the following. Richmond, Western Bulldogs and St Kilda. 2 very, very disappointing teams. One team that took their opportunity and have set themselves up for potentially a top 4 spot, being the Sydney Swans. Port Adelaide, Gold Coast on 32. You could almost say both those teams losing on the weekend has put them, once again, 5 games to go. They're pretty much going to have to win all 5 to make it.
Yeah.
You've then got the Dorks of Hawthorn, Essendon, another great win, and I'm going to get into that. how they are a massive tease. If I was an Essendon supporter, I would be shattered with the way Essendon are going at the moment. GWS and Adelaide on 20, and West Coast, North Melbourne on 17 and 18. And the race for that final draft pick, number one draft pick between West Coast and North, is hot. Hot, 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 hot. So we're going to see what happens down with that. At the moment, who would you go for? Would you go for North, or would you go for West Coast as the team to feel at the bottom and the number one position in the draft?
Great question, Peps. Okay. Well, Melbourne have asked for. I'm sorry, Melbourne. I mean, Melbourne have definitely always asked for concessions from the AFL because that's the kind of stingy club that they are. But North Melbourne have asked for some picks. But who would be rightfully getting that spot? North.
You reckon North still?
Yeah, I reckon.
Isn't it frustrating when you see what North did last week and then what they rolled out this week?
It was going to be one of my topics.
We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. All right. J-Dog. I reckon it's time to spin some magnets. Let's get these big boys out because we've got a few to get through tonight. I'm going to start with I want to finish with the bad, so I'm going to start with the good. So I'm going to go over to Mr. Demetriou and get a couple of
3 votes.
All right. Let's have a look at these 3 votes for this week. All righty.
What's going on here?
First and foremost, Jamie's merkin at the moment is looking magnificent. If you haven't looked up what a merkin is, get on Wikipedia and look up what a merkin is.
What is going on?
His hair is out of control, so it's definitely giving me 3 votes. North Melbourne, what a win. Now, it should have been the week before against Collingwood. That was one that we were really rocking for if that had kicked in. But we love that they got the 4 points against Richmond. If you were a football supporter, and I was actually quite fortunate, we went out for dinner on Sunday night over to somebody's house, and they all barracked for North.
Yep.
And we
was
were
it Ruboy, was it?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Ruboy. No, definitely wasn't Ruboy. But what I can tell you was that we're watching the game, and to see that they climbed their way back and to get in front.
Yep.
Let's just say that the 3 blokes that were watching the footy were probably the looks that we were getting from the wives was not a good idea to be watching TV. And we just said, hey, listen, North have got a chance to win a game. And everybody went, okay, that's fair enough. To see what happened and how they won it, but more importantly, that last minute of football, the last time I saw a minute of football with that much carnage in it was the last game at GMHBA Stadium between Melbourne and Geelong last year. Last game when they deliberate out of bounds, kicked out on the full, punched after. Yep. To kick a goal and then to get the ball back and then to kick it out on the full, get it back, to turn it over, go down to the forward line, don't take set shots, don't go back and chew up the clock. Nobody wanted to win that game.
I thought...
And then to see Artsy just totally blow it was Castagna-like. We were going nuts as soon as that siren rang. So if you don't love footy, turn the podcast off now, regardless if you barracked for North or not. It was great to see them get across the line because they've been through that much shit, and we've all been through it. I've been through it so many years. Jamie's been through it for so many years. Yep. Just to see them get a win, even though it's not your team, and it couldn't have happened against a better opponent in Richmond.
Oh, I don't think anyone was supporting Richmond other than Richmond people, yeah?
I reckon even Richmond supporters, we got beaten, but good on you, North. We really hoped it was against Collingwood. It was one even better at Richmond because we know that Richmond supporters don't turn up to Marvel. So that was probably the only disappointing thing is that there wasn't as many Richmond people to absorb that beautiful win.
Well, Pep, stop talking because you're going to take away some of the subjects for our footy chat.
Oh, well, we'll get to it in a minute. All right.
I want you to just leave it there. That's good. Next topic.
All right. Bags, bags, bags. We love it when they kick them. Bags, bags.
If you mention this player, I'm gonna quit the podcast.
All right. Bags, like I said, a bag is 6 goals or more, and then we had 3 of them on the weekend. We had Cam Zurha. At one stage, he had 5 kicks, 5 goals.
Yeah, it was going good, wasn't it?
He was going all right. Didn't do much in the second half, except for the last couple of minutes. That's all he had to do, kicking the winning goal across the line. Lukey Bruce, it just goes to show you don't get rid of your elder statesmen, that at any time they could pop up and kick a bag of 6. He did it. And I got to bring it up, Jamie. He was the little pocket rocket, the number 36, the guy who literally turned the game on its head up there in Alice Springs. Kozai Pickett.
Are we trying to monetize this? Are we trying to monetize this podcast, Peps, or not?
No, why is that?
A guy who's done absolutely fuck all for a whole year goes and kicks 6 goals against us. I was losing it in my lounge room. His first 3 goals were complete arse, but anyway, good game, Cozzy.
That's all right. Robbie Gray's been doing it for years. All right. So it was just great to see some bags being kicked on the weekend. Like we said, it was good. And last but not least, I can understand it now, peeps. I can understand it now. Nick Dacos.
Oh, yeah.
Gun.
Legit.
G-U-N. You know it also has 3 letters in it? P-E-P. There's something in that for all of us. 40 disposals and 3 goals. What more needs to be said about this kid? I've got one, Jamie. Tag him.
Yeah.
Your teams, unless you're in the top 4, your team isn't good enough to play this team defense. Tag the bloke. Tag him. You can sacrifice one of your own. You put the brakes on a guy like him, it's going to be a lot harder for Collingwood to move that ball off the half-back line.
Pretty hard guy to tag, though.
He's not. You just need to be next to him. You get your best runner in the club. That's what Geelong have done with blitz halves. Get your best runner in the club. He can stop anything. You know who you can't stop? Is Jules Julio, who's joined us on the chat. Good to see you again, big fella. One of our favourite outlaws to join us. And I have to mention this. Now, I'm not going to mention the last one because we're going to talk about that when we get to the games themselves as well, too. All right. Let's have a look at the bad ones. And, my God, I think this is the biggest list of bad ones we've had in quite a while. So I think we're going to be throwing a bit of...
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody weakest piss.
All right. I don't know what's been said that hasn't been said about this club so far. And it's funny because normally Buzz would be on by now if they had won. But St Kilda. This team was 8-3 at the mid-season bye. And since then, they've gone 1-5.
Yeah.
They just extended the coach for 2 more years. What's happened to this club, J-Dog? How can you go from 8-3...
Top 4, looking at a top 4 lock-in.
Top 4 finals?
Yeah.
And it makes me laugh every week that goes past that my mate, Marky Caruso, when he said it months ago that we're shit, watch what happens, he was 100% correct. They're woeful. They make woeful sound fantastic.
I know we can't go back in the vault. We don't have producers on our show. It's just you with the board there. But I wish we could go back when I said St Kilda are the team. We both said it. St Kilda is a team we don't trust in that top 8. We're talking about almost being locked in from round 7. And we always said St Kilda was the team that we don't trust. And just look at it, like they are a shell.
And it makes
a shell.
Do you remember when we worked together? We always used to talk about the definition of insanity. All right, which is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. Well, first of all, I don't know what they're doing on the park because they just don't. I think they had 12 tackles in a half of football.
Yeah, they're not competitive.
They're non-competitive. There's someone said sub-AFL standard.
Yep.
But to even take it one step further, J-Dog, I just don't know what they stand for. And they look like they're going after Jordan Ngoe. Haven't they worked out that Higgins hasn't worked out? Oh, he's been okay. Hanbury hasn't been any good.
Playing in the V50
Jones
VFL.
hasn't been doing anything. Crouch hasn't been setting the world on fire. They want to go after Ngoe now. Why do you keep going after the players? You know what they should change their name to? The Other John West Football Club, because they get the ones the others reject.
Is it a coaching thing, Peps? Because I was just thinking this other day. Alistair Clarkson didn't believe in the draft. He always believed in topping up.
Yeah.
Ratton was part of that coaching panel through Hawthorn through those years.
Yep.
Do you think he's under the same opinion? That the draft is not the way to build a premiership team. Maybe you have to go and look at your top-up and senior players, and that's how you build your team. No.
I don't think you can build a premiership team, just from the draft. And I think that's what Clarkson was. You don't win a premiership through the draft. And hear me out when I say this. Yes, you're going to get a core group of players, all right? But you need to then fill the holes perfect example. I'll go back to my team because this is the easiest way. Melbourne, right?
Yeah. You can talk about. You know.
Petrarca, Brayshaw, Oliver, Gawn, Pickett, Jackson, Rivers. The list goes on.
Yeah.
All gone through the draft. But then they realised we need to strengthen something up in our back line. Who did they go after? May and Lever. We needed some outside run on the wing. Who'd they go after? Ed Langdon. We need a forward that we can kick to, Ben Brown. So I think that's what he's saying is that you cannot win a premiership directly through the draft. You can build a team through that, but you need to get that quality from other clubs, whether it's through free agency or drafting. They did it. They had that group core of Hodge, Mitchell.
Oh, they had a super draft.
That
Ruffy.
super draft. Lewis,
Ruffy,
and Buddy, but Buddy left. But then who'd they bring in? They needed someone down back. Brian Lake comes in. They needed a ruckman. David Hale comes in. Big boy McAvoy comes in as well too. All right. They even needed a swingman. They brought in Spanger. So I can understand what he's coming from. That you do need to have a good mix of both.
Yeah.
Okay. It's good to see the Roo Boy. Roo Boy's here. We're going to get to Roo Boy. I've got something special for you, big fella. So I'm looking forward to that too. And also, don't forget about Gibson as well too. They needed someone to slot into halfback. They brought in Gibson as well too. So that's what he means by that.
Yeah. It's the Saints there. That's just
I reckon they get turned on by the name. Jagowie at St Kilda.
I think that's definitely for a club that's been struggling now for a while. And it just gets worse for St Kilda.
It doesn't get better, does it?
Ryder's now out with an Achilles injury, and I know, having Ryder at my club with an Achilles injury, it is an absolute. It just kills your list. It just he's there now. What have they got coming out of the centre? They got nothing.
Nothing. They got nothing. And Marshall, he's just not living up. King, come to Melbourne. We'll take you. Go to Port Adelaide. They'll take it. Any club will take it. Get out of St Kilda. You won't have a career. Alrighty. Essendon. What a great win that they had. I think they've won 4 out of their last 5.
Yep.
Yet haven't we seen this before, J-Dog? 2020, 2021. Another wasted season. And this is a club that when there's no pressure on them whatsoever, that's when they perform. If I was an Essendon member, I would be pissed off massively.
Okay.
If that's what they show, because they did it in 2019, 2020, 2021. How many people were picking them to finish in the top 8 after the way they finished last year?
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
Okay. It's when it's almost like, well, we can't win this. Let's just take the shackles off. Is that a coaching thing? Is it a mental thing? Is it a playing thing? I don't know what it is, but it is pathetic.
Yeah.
And I would be, like I said, pissed off if I was an Essendon supporter. It's great that you're winning, but too late, too sad. And, yep, awful. Absolutely awful. All right. They failed the test, everybody. Who are we talking about? Carlton, Gold Coast, Freo, Richmond. All these teams had a chance to gain or solidify a spot in the 8, and they all fell over and failed. Out of that list, J-Dog, which was the worst, in your humble opinion?
I think it was probably Richmond.
I reckon Freo.
Yeah, okay. Freo to lock in the top 4.
Freo at home. It just goes to show how susceptible and how lazy they are on their team defence. When things are going well, they are brilliant to look at. But the Swans just practically chip their way around. The Swans at the moment, I love everything that they're doing.
Clean. They are
clean. They are clean. And my God, have they got kids?
Chad Warner.
The new Chad. And the last one. This is a bad, but hear me out.
Okay.
So former West Coast rookie Patrick Bynes delivered a stern head trauma warning to the AFL. There was an interview last night on the couch, which was eye-opening, tragic, scary, shocking, and made me think twice about how head trauma might affect me later in life, because I played footy and I copped head knocks. And I reckon there's a lot of people out there, not to that level, but is it going to affect me? So what I'm going to do is, if you didn't have a chance to look at it, once we publish the show, if you go to the show notes, I've actually included a link to the actual interview video. online, so you'll be able to watch it. And I'd love to hear what your comments about it are, because, mate, it also, you hear Rui and you hear John O'Brien talking about it, and it was shocking to the fact that how uninsured they were. And it was basically, if you lost a limb, that was the only way that you were going to get a payout. And so, long story short, he was able to get something out of it. But it was just eye-opening to see how a guy in his early 20s and his life is practically nothing at the moment just because of a sport that pretty much he was a rookie B. So he wasn't getting paid anything, not big bucks.
Yeah.
Brought him in and basically spat him out the end without anything as well too. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Well,
easy peasy.
They know it's. I mean, the AFL know that's coming. The AFL know that there is a potential grounds for a huge class action to come against the AFL. We've been talking about it now for 2 to 3 years. Mick Warner's been talking about it. Like it's been
brewing, baby. It's been brewing, and you're going to talk about one of these topics right now in Around the Ground. So it's time to head over to the great man.
It's time for Around the Grounds with Laceout's #1 newsbreaker, Jamie Wallis. Over to you, big fella.
I think I just love the way that you really just love that. Like, it just makes me smile.
I love it, Jamie, because it just suits you to a T because you are our newsbreaker. But the fact that I made that, I'm pretty happy with that too.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can do a pretty good sort of accent, I was pretty happy with that one too. All right. What's the first one, buddy? Give us some of the news topics that are floating around at the moment that we can have a bit of a chat about.
Well, where do you want to go with this one here? Do you want to talk about the Saints first? Do you want to just talk about that, roll into it?
I reckon just go into it. Yeah, pretty much straight away. All right, then. So you have a look at the Saints. I'll let you start this one off because obviously you're the one who's brought it to the forefront.
Yeah.
Cool. What are you thinking?
I mean, everything was going against Western Bulldogs. You know, Norton was out, COVID, everything like that. How are they going to score goals? What are they going to do? St Kilda are going to be all over this, all over that. They played fantastic football, yada, 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 yada. You hear it? The first quarter of the game was over. Western Bulldogs got out, jumped them. St Kilda were 16 points at half-time or something like that, ridiculous. End of the day, and Bevo was a little bit upset towards the end, but St Kilda did their usual pile on 7 goals last quarter, but the game was done. The game was iced. Bevo wasn't happy the fact that the Bulldogs basically put the cue in the rack, but I mean, a coach is going to say that, but the game was essentially iced by half-time. It was done. So where was that response from St Kilda? The game's on the line. You're looking still. You are fighting for a top 8 position, and like you said before, what club wants it? Because Richmond had a chance, they blew it. St Kilda had a chance, they blew it.
I'm just
the way that that first 3 quarters of football, the Western Bulldogs were walking from one end of the field to the other, 2 to 3 kicks goal, 2 to 3 kicks goal, no pressure.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that I'm going to raise in a moment.
Forwards couldn't get near it. Not that the entry into the forward line was great. St Kilda have got one target, Max King. If the ball doesn't get to Max King and he marks it, it's going to go straight back down the other end of the ground faster than you say St Kilda are shit.
You know what? It's a bit of this, isn't it?
There's no cash here. Here, there's no cash.
There's no king. There's no king.
No, Robbo? No cash.
No king. There's no king, no goals.
Robbo, no king. No king.
No king. No king. Mate, the Western Bulldogs had 57 possessions less.
Yep.
They had 100 and... So they had... start again, sorry. They had 57 kicks less.
Yes.
What does that say? They just went bang and went forward, went direct.
Yep.
Every time St Kilda grabbed it, they went sideways, they went backwards. They had 158 marks.
Mm-hmm.
The Doggies had 100.
Yep.
They had 33% more because of the simple fact they'd kick and try and go around. Chop, 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 instead of just playing direct football and getting the ball into King fast. And then what happens when they don't? The back line of Western Bulldogs is susceptible, as we know already, because of the injuries that they've got. They just flooded people back and then just held up King's spot, and then the rest of them didn't do anything.
Yep.
So they were just, now mind you, the midfield, the Rolls Royce of the AFL, were sensational. But when they don't get it, there was enough times for St Kilda just to be direct and go long and go quick. There was no risk. There was no dare. There was no flair. There was no nanny. There was nothing.
But they weren't, like, Bont, you could see Bont was going to tear it up. Bont tears it up. We know he does that. Yep. You know that, what's the name, party guy? Liberatore. You know he's going to be in and under.
Yeah. Smith is going to add that polish. McRae, Dunkley, Treloar, they're all going to do their thing.
Time after time, these players were given far too much room off the ball at any clearance opportunity. Throw-ins, throw-ups, whatever it is, they were given far too much room. And defensively, St Kilda was standing on the wrong side of their man. They weren't standing goal side.
Mate, they got smashed in the clearances by 20.
Yep.
They had less rebound. They had 3 less inside 50s, yet the Doggies converted at 68.4%. St Kilda went at 33.3%. So they were just bombing it in, not looking for anybody. Just hopefully the king can sit on the throne and kick a bag. Doesn't happen. And the small forwards don't work hard enough. The rebound was just disgusting. The way that they just rebound the ball, they were just way too good. Way too good.
And St Kilda just literally failed. Like I think it's any field sport. There's a golden rule that any field sport plays, and it is protect the center. As soon as the ball gets into the center of, and I'm talking about hockey, footy, soccer, anything with the field, you protect the center, because as soon as the ball starts going through there, you are going to get torn to ribbons.
And they got torn to ribbons. They got sliced and diced. Like that's it. They went. Doggies went through the middle.
Yep.
They didn't, and that's what's going to happen. And I'll look at that list and some of the names on this list. And one other thing that Rude Boys brought up is that Jaron Geary retired, so it's good to good luck for his future endeavours as well too. After many years there, but Jack Sinclair was sensational. If they did not have Callum Wilkie, they would have lost by 100 because he had 27 disposals and I think he had something like 16 marks. He was the only thing with him and Jack Sinclair stopping the ball from going anywhere. Jack Steele was down, junk, and a lot of these are just junk time. But like, you look at these players. Josh Battle, 14 marks. Mason Wood, 13 marks. Tim Membry, 12 marks. Tim Membry goes down after halftime straight down to the back line when they're 4 goals down.
Yep.
When you try and win the game, it was just Cooper Sharman, 10 marks. So people are just getting a lot of marks, cheap ones, chip.
Peps. I read a funny tweet or a message I heard come through or something. I can't remember where I heard it from. Anyway, someone said, "Can you sign up a coach for 2 years and sack him in the same week?"
Oh.
Peps, is there a team? Is there a team there? Is there a team in that list? In that list there, is there the underpinnings of a good team?
Okay, I'll ask you one question, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a look at the St Kilda list, name me any players that would get a game at Geelong, Melbourne, Freo, and Brisbane at the moment. Ooh. I reckon I could name probably 3.
I think on potential or on name?
No, at the moment. Like, at the moment, you've got a list in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Jack Sinclair?
Yeah, that was 1.
Max King?
He's 2.
As a second banana somewhere. Bruce?
Bruce?
Ron Marshall, maybe?
Bruce? Which Bruce? Josh Bruce?
Yeah.
Isn't he at the Doggies?
Oh, no, sorry, you're right. He's gone there.
It's
been a bit years.
It's been a while. I would say
Ron Marshall.
Yep. And Jack Steele. They'd be the only 4. They're the only 4 I'd probably have a look at going anywhere. Now, what does that say about your list?
I don't think they're even rated elite.
Even like Jules Julio's gone. Brad Hill, mate. He's up. He's the yo-yo. He's the personification of St Kilda. When he's flying, mate, nothing can stop him. but that's when he feels like it. He doesn't do it week in, week out. And that's the problem with this. This group don't do it week in, week out. They just choose. They think they can flick the switch. We're St Kilda. I think they're not fit enough. They don't care enough. You know, you look at the list and go, who would be the guy that would be setting the standards at that club? Jack Steele, and he came from GWS. Who's the best draft pick outside of Max King that they've brought in?
But they haven't. They've traded him. They've traded him for names.
My point exactly. They thought they had a window. That window's smashed, mate.
Maybe Josh Battle. I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
There's not many there.
There's not many there at all. You know, they're... that premiership window has been boarded up and is vacant.
Okay.
I reckon. No,
I'm with you.
They're going to have to rebuild, mate. They have to. Hey, they're going to end up they're going to be the new North. They're going to consistently end up in the middle and go nowhere.
Yeah. Yep. And then a question on the coach. But that is a topic for another day. Peps.
Yes, mate.
Tell you what, this was a good game I want to talk about next.
Oh, yeah, okay, get going. Next one.
The Crows.
The Crow throw.
Great.
The Crow throw. Pies up by 5 points into the last quarter, and they flipped it.
Yep.
So Adelaide, I reckon, have got less talent on their list than what St Kilda have, but they've got some heart, and they're having a crack.
Yep.
Darren Burgess, mate. Darren Burgess. He's been
Come on.
Hey, you can't tell me that they're not fit this year, Adelaide.
No, I know that they're fit. They're fit. I just don't think that's been a great rebuild at the moment. That's all.
Nah.
3 years into a rebuild. They haven't really done
all
much. All right. So, Pies. They escape another one, Peps. Their record at the moment for under 12 points is something astronomical. It's something like 7 of the last somethings.
They've won 7 out of 8 by less than 2 goals.
It's an incredible record, and that's what gets you into finals. You need to win. Any club who makes the 8 has to win those games, and Collingwood are personifying that at the moment.
They're kicking the ball more. They out-tackled them. Definitely got more hit-outs, which is interesting because Grundy's going to be coming back. Do they really want him back? Sounds like the club doesn't want him.
Yep.
2 years after signing him up for $7 million over 7 years. That looked like a good investment. At the time, he was playing like that, but you just see what happens. They made more clangers, but they had their hands on the ball more than them.
Yep.
They had 12 inside 50s more, but their conversion was the thing that you look at. They converted at 66%.
Yeah.
So for every 3 times they went in, they converted twice.
And Collingwood have been pretty like that all season.
They have been.
Like, my checks are very, very, very good close to goal. Elliott's good close to goal. I know we talk about Cox a lot, but Cox will rarely miss a kick.
I'll tell you now, J-Dog, if you said to me, name someone that you would love to have at your club, it'd be Brody Mychek. I'm spewing that we haven't gone after him and the other clubs haven't gone after him. He was on the rookie list for goodness knows how many years.
He's an up and down forward. It's all you ask for. A lead forward. Lead pack mark forward.
Mate, he kicks 2 goals a game. That's his he kicked 2 on the weekend. So he's kicked 32 this year.
Pretty good return.
Well, yeah. And then you got Dacos who has his 40. Pendlebury is 350 games in and he's going to be the next 400 game player.
Easily, he's going to go past Boomer.
They once again they brought in Lipinski, couldn't get a game at the Dogs, killing it at the Pies. You get Josh Dacos, you get this new guy Carmichael who came out of nowhere. Still, Sidebottom seems to keep going.
Your best mate,
Oh.
Bondi.
Jack Ginnivan. Mate, I didn't know he was a rookie.
Yep.
I didn't give the guy credit. He's going to find it a bit harder now because he can't, Daffy Ducks and lift the arms. Okay. Exactly. Oh, can I just put this one up? Look at Lee Ali. What an absolute legend. Just goes to show. CP number 6, what a star. See? That's respect that I have from our listeners. He got to play with the great man. Good on you, Fang.
So Peps.
Darcy Moore's come back.
Collingwood,
I don't know whether they can win a flag, but...
I don't know about flag, but I mean,
Top
what
four.
their forward line does and does well is they are not just reliant on one avenue to goal like said club
Exactly.
before, like St Kilda. They're not just relying on the one forward. They've got, if the ball goes to ground, let the small forwards do it. Let the Elliots, let the Genovans, all those sort of guys, let them take care of it. If the ball's there, a straight kick out of the centre clearance, my check is going to be there on a lead, hands out forward, smashing it.
Well, they had 10 separate goal kickers on the weekend.
Amazing. Yep.
That's all you can ask for. So the Crows, they threw it, and the Pies just go away with another win. So you can't ask for much more than that.
No.
What about the Lions Safari slaughters a giant? The Lions by 40 points. I didn't think it'd be this big because of all the players coming in, usually a week after COVID. They can be a little bit rusty. Mate, they were great.
Yep.
The Lions, probably where we thought they would be. That was a win that they needed to have.
For sure. Yeah, if they weren't all sick last week against Essendon, then they're at the heels of you guys on the top of the ladder. Yep.
Exactly.
That's the Lions.
Yep.
I mean, what else you say? That is line brand football for the past 3 years.
The issue is that they have a problem when it gets to finals that they can't continue that as well too. But once
That's
again,
true.
I've got to have a quick shout out to my mate. I know he was on the losing team, but Toby Green, just another 4.
Yep.
Best player ever to pull on a Giants jumper.
What's his contract? Is he ever going to get out of that place?
No,
Hope he
he's
does.
signed up again. No, he's wasted up there. Mate, who wouldn't love him? You'd have him at Port?
Oh, heartbeat. I'd give up. I don't know. I'd give up a bit to get him.
Yep, I'd have him. No doubt. He wants to go down as the Giants' best player. He kicks another 4. Can't ask for much more than that. Carry on McCluggage. He kicked his 4. Absolutely great return. Cam Rayner, he kicked 3. Like that's it. Like they're a little bit similar where they have not as many goal kickers spread, but when they do kick goals, they usually kick them in 3s and 4s. So McCluggage kicks 3. Rayner kicks 3.
The problem is
Charlie Cameron kicks 3. But when they go missing, they go missing.
Correct. Those 2 go missing in the finals.
Yep.
All right. Pure perfection.
Pure perfection. Couple of things brought up on the chat really quickly. Jazz
sure.
has said Kelly is GWS's best player. I'd take Green over Kelly any day of the week. You're going to get more consistency out of Toby Green.
Yeah, more danger.
Anyone can rack up 30 in the midfield, but for what he does week in, week out, he's amazing.
Kelly is averaging 1.7 a game, I think, at the moment. And we all know midfielders who kick goals are the absolute hen's teeth of the AFL. But I would take Toby Green. Midfield, half forward, and kicks goals.
Well, he's only kicked 8 goals this year.
Yep.
And he's averaging 27 disposals. So he's getting a lot of ball, but he's not hitting it where it hits. That's where he needs to take it to the next level, I think. Yeah. But it was perfection with the Cats over Carlton by 30 points. I went blank then for a second. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Peps, good game. What do you think? What do you think of the Saturday night game?
I liked it. I watched it, and it's spewing too because there was another cracking game on at that time as well too. I wanted to see what Carlton would do. It was a pretty boring game, I reckon, for the first half.
Yep.
There was just nothing happening. It was a little bit like the Melbourne-Geelong game from the week earlier. I know it was contested footy, but like I said, just because it was contested footy didn't make it exciting. It was a bit flat.
Yeah.
But Geelong just opened it up in the second half. They made the changes. They swung where they needed to, and it rose to the top. And here's what I mean. So Sam Walsh had 33 disposals. I didn't think he was effective at all. But 20 of those were handballs. So he was getting it out, but not being dangerous. He reminds me of a Clayton Oliver from about 3 years ago, where Clayton didn't actually kick the ball as much.
Yeah.
He needs to do that a little bit more because he's got a great foot. But then you have a look at, Mitch Duncan did his thing. Joel Selwood, again. Tui, again. Guthrie, again. Then they've got these, like Brad Close, got the worst kicking action in the... that's Graham Myers. He's got the worst kicking action in the team. But then Jeremy Cameron, that's what I'm talking about, J-Dog. They brought players in. Jeremy Cameron, bang, slot straight in. We need more of a crumbing forward. We'll take a risk on Stengel because we know we're close. He's been a revelation for them this year.
Yeah.
All right, we need a ruckman. Reece Stanley, he's got better.
Yeah.
And then they bring in a De Koning, first-year player, beautifully playing down back.
Lockdown.
And then they throw in this guy called Tom Atkins into the middle, and he's just been gorgeous for them. He's just added that extra grunt.
Yep.
He's almost taken over from Selwood. And then Dangerfield's getting a little bit better as well, too.
Well,
The question that you throw is, have they peaked too early? We're not to know just yet, but they are the team to beat. Simple as that. Melbourne are not the team to beat. This is the team to beat.
For sure. And I think what you said there, I think Atkins has probably been one of the... Well, Stengle's obviously a good addition, but I think Atkins is probably the one that you go, geez, they've just now got another set of legs to drive out of there. We know that Danger can do it, but Danger absolutely butchers the ball from the centre. But Atkins is cleaner.
He's super clean.
He's not as big as Danger. He doesn't push people around like Danger, but he drives from the packs just as hard.
He's good. Like that, they're the players you need to have. Like I said, your top 6 get you through the year.
Yeah.
It's your bottom 6. They're the ones, because you know what you're going to get from the Rolls Royces. It's your Toyota Yaris's at the bottom of the list that you know if they can perform during finals, will get you from being just run of the mill to making to winning.
Do Carlton lose any Myers, perhaps?
I think they might have lost a few. I think they may be a year too early. I think I said it a few weeks ago. The Love Machine, my brother, said that it reminds them a lot of the 2018 Demons, where everything went right for them.
Until it didn't.
But it might be a year too early. And it's starting to happen where they've got a few cracks that they need to fill. When teams get on a run, they're quite easy to play against. The defence isn't as strong. Now, I know Wiedering will be back. McGovern will be back. We get that.
No, but you're right, though, Peps. They have had quite a few teams get a hold of them, kick a 5 or 6 goal run on them.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think they're a little bit susceptible in that area. But, they've still got the Twin Towers down forward. And I reckon if you stop those two guys, which is hard to do.
Which is what De Koning did.
Yep. If you can stop them and they're playing against bigger boys, it's going to be hard for them to kick a winning score.
And it's incredible to think that De Koning is only 19.
De Konings. Just like I said, would you rather the De Konings or would you prefer the King brothers?
Oh, that's a tough question.
That's a tough one, isn't it? That's not the listener question, but if you want to write on our chat, we might even throw that one in. Would you prefer the King brothers or would you prefer the De Konings? We might have to have a bonus question.
Oh, hang on. 3.
Hold on. What's the other one?
King,
Yeah.
De Koning,
Yeah.
or Dacos's?
Oh, no. Dacos is nah.
You wouldn't take a Dacos?
Nah,
Midfielders?
midfielders are a dime a dozen, mate.
We're
You need key positions.
not talking just
All right, we'll throw
midfielders.
the Dacos in there as well, too, just because you wanted a bit of Dacos action. All right, the game that was on at the same time, which sucked because when you saw what happened where Sydney got the win against the Freo Dockers, basically I'm swanning around, get out of my way.
No, stop it,
I know
Jazz.
you feel it because
The Mackays as well. Harry, yep.
Nah.
It's,
They were swanning around, and they just picked them apart. They picked Freo apart. Freo were just lazy.
I didn't see this game a whole lot, so you're probably going to take more of the lead in this one here. I was watching the Carlton Cats one.
I was too, and I just had a bit of a listen, a bit of a read, and it was just everything. Chad Warner, I got to see his first game a couple of years ago, and he's just getting better and better. He's just getting.
I don't understand how a guy with only 2 eyes can see the field like he could see it.
What I don't understand is how come Sydney don't have any bad kids playing for them? Why are they always good?
Yeah.
Warner, we know about Mills. Let me go through a few. Warner, Goulden, Florent,
And they're dangerous.
Blakey, Clark, Rowbottom stepped up this year.
Yeah.
Joel Armady didn't do much, but he still kicked his 2. But then you have a look at someone like Tom McCartan. That's a perfect, Paddy McCartan. Rookie contract, goes up to Sydney. He could be All-Australian this year. That's how his season has been down back. He probably won't. But if he got a top 40 nomination, that would be... He's been exceptional. He's been one of the reasons why. But yet, Chad Warner, if it's not him, it's Callum Mills. They just get me excited. Like, I love the Chad. Love him. Sydney supporters, you love the Chad. I didn't even mention Isaac Heaney.
Yeah. Well,
Where does it stop?
He's an old boy now, Pep.
He's
compared to that
old.
compared to
He's
those young
25.
blokes.
He's old. He's over the hill. Trade him. He's old. Alrighty. What about the Roost? Hawks by 25 over the Eagles.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been on the Hawks thing. I've said to them their absolute best football is as good as any one of the top 4 teams. And the Eagles, it's disappointing because the Eagles aren't that great, but I do think that Hawks absolutely played a blinder.
Yeah, they're in a world of hurt, the West Coast, because there's so many moves off season that they need to make.
Yeah.
The thing with it though is, and I was speaking to a West Coast supporter today. He said, "Look, it's just tough with what we've got. We have to rebuild. We have to slice and dice. We have to get rid of some old things. We have to make some trades because otherwise, we're not going to go anywhere." I'll say it again. Sam Mitchell, as a coach, I can't fault him, mate. He's always got something up his sleeve. Bruce kicking 6. You really can't ask for much more than that. But it's just the young kids, like the rising star. We might as well mention him now. Josh Ward. I think it was his 12th game or something along those lines. Comes out, has a casual 34, 133 fantasy points.
Unreal.
Tommy Mitchell does his thing. John Newcomb, a guy they picked up in the mid-season draft, he does his thing. Dylan Moore, best season he's had virtually ever. James Sicily, ever reliable. Like, I could go down the list, J-Dog.
Yeah.
They've got a pretty good list. There's a bit of oldness there, but when you've got Krzyzewski and Lewis, you know, they've got their own tall timber down forward. And, you know, got to see them live when they played the D's a number of weeks ago. And even big boy McAvoy, first week back in, I think, after having, you know, a very, very bad neck injury, having 21 tap outs and kicked a goal as well. You know, if you're a Hawthorn supporter, you'd be pretty happy. And I spoke to another guy yesterday, my mate Baron Grant, a.k.a. the Mormonator. And he said, I didn't expect much from this year, but, you know, there's a lot to like in there. And if we can get rid of a few in terms of, you know, trading them out or move them on, we've got a nice little nucleus that we can build off them. So they are a very young team. But yeah, their average age is 24 years and 1 month. And there's probably a couple of guys in that group, Mitchell, Jager O'Meara, Bruce, you can even throw Dunstan as well too, who are pushing up that age. If you took those guys out, it'd be a lot lower as well too. The Power got their pockets picketed.
Well, I want to just say that
These by 14 points over Port.
The Hawks have now won 2 in a row. It's not bad.
Awesome. How good's that?
Power gets there, yes. Picketed, yes. Peps, yes. We did. It was a good game until 3/4 time.
Once again, that's why grand finals need to be played in the daytime. Mind you, it was 25 degrees. But that's why. Because you're not going to get the dew on the grass. You're not going to get the overcast conditions. You're not going to get the chill factor.
It was
25 degrees up there in the Northern Territory. Beautiful. I'll tell you what, J-Dog, if they go to Port, if they go up there, we need to go over there and watch a game. We'll go to Alice Springs and watch a game.
I think it would melt.
Okay, you would, with that pale skin. But look, the players that needed to stand up for Melbourne did.
Yeah.
Okay, Petrarca stood up, Viney stood up. There was no Clayton Oliver. Petrarca did his thing.
And
Viney did his thing. Langdon got his hands on the ball a bit. Pickett kicked 6. Ben Brown was taking him around the ground as well too. You guys did really well considering that you didn't have
haven't had a
Ruckman in there.
Haven't had a ruckman all season.
But you went with Dixon and Finlayson around the ground, and so you thought we'll lose the tap out, but what we'll do is we'll make the midfielders work, and it worked quite well for majority of the game.
For sure. And I think that's the thing. Like, I think that's to push you guys as far as we did. I was pretty impressed. You guys got out to something like a 30-point lead. We just kicked a few goals towards the end, which is a typical Port Adelaide game. Make it look respectable. But essentially, when you guys accelerated in that third quarter, we just couldn't go with you. Cozzy kicking 6 in the end. Ben Brown started to get his hands on it more. The halfbacks, Lever and May, started to get more influence from the back line and started to get your thing rolling. And where your small forward in Cozzy Pickett kicked 6, our midfield, Sam Pepper, didn't get one.
Can I just say something though, J-Dog?
Mm-hmm.
First thing, the hit-outs were 32-17. So if we're getting our hands on the ball, first it's going to happen. And then from the clearances, you actually smashed us in the clearances.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
So we don't. Yeah, that's something that they need to work on. But when you don't have the clearance king working there, it makes it hard. I'll tell you what. If they ever make the Fantastic Four, the new Fantastic Four, I've got the best person to play Johnny Storm, the Human Torch.
Who's that?
Bailey Fridge. Because for the third week in a row, he flamed on and flamed one of his teammates running into an open goal.
That was odd. He is a selfish bastard.
I just think that he feels that he needs to kick the goal all the time. And then later on in the game, Melksham does the same thing, but then squares it up into the middle of the ground to Ben Brown, and he goes back and slots it. That's what they need to do. So I think 3 weeks in a row is I would almost drop him.
Doesn't he look like a bloke that would do that, though?
No, he looks like
Yeah,
a
he
guy you
does.
want to slap.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy in the club you like. That guy is the kind of bloke who would mark the ball on the goal line when it's going through to take
Yep.
your goal off you.
Yep. Oh, did he do that? He did do that. He did it when James Harms was going to kick goal of the year. Oh no, that was Tommy McDonald did it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need to have a chat and say, dude, you need to square this up, because players, I reckon, be starting to get a bit pissed with that, because that's the third week in a row that he's done that. And
Well, and I think the player in the goal square, who was it? Langno, who was that? But he was clear. He was clear 20 metres, no one
Spargo.
near him. Spargo, there we
Spargo
go.
looked at him. So I reckon every time he gets it, they're going to have from Mortal Kombat, Toasty, every time. That's what they should do. Toasty! And the guy's head pops out the corner like it does
Yep.
on the game.
Yep.
And there was one last game that I want to have a quick touch on. Essendon shut the Drapers on the Suns. Essendon by 48 points over Gold Coast. Gold Coast,
Another waste of a season, Peps?
another waste. No, I think it's been a good season for them this year. It's not over yet. There's still a chance.
Why, Peps? Why? They've done this before. They've come
No, they
close to
haven't.
finals.
Not this deep.
Not this deep, but they have come
They usually
close to
finish their
finals.
season in May.
And you're right, Peps. It's the fact that those teams who are hovering 7th and 8th didn't win, and
Gives them a chance.
Port and Gold Coast not winning, it means that it's still a compact one game out, and there's literally so much movement there. And even if Port had won or Gold Coast had won and the other teams had lost, I'd say the top 5 could still almost be. I mean, not top 5, sorry. From 5 onward could still be shifted, because that is so compressed through there.
We've put the ladder up earlier in this in the podcast. There is that much congestion at the top. Like Melbourne have got a hard run. Geelong aren't too bad. Brisbane isn't too bad. Like they all play each other.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be 8-point games across, because we're not talking top 2, we're talking top 4. And if those teams beat each other and become their worst enemies, teams sitting 5th and 6th could jump in.
Yeah.
It's going to be I don't think it's been this open for, I don't know how far. We've been doing this podcast 5 years now. I don't think it's been this open in the entire time that we're going 5 rounds in going, the 8 is not set. The 4 is not set. Nothing is set at this stage.
I don't know. As a supporter of someone, as a club, Port Adelaide, who's sitting on the outside at the moment, I'm not enjoying it. I actually would rather just have the coup de grace, just lop my head off, and I want to be done with the season. I hate watching every game going, oh, we're a chance. Mathematically, we can still make it. I'd rather just know.
You hate throwing out those dollar bills,
Ah,
thinking that you're going to get something in return.
God, it's annoying.
Don't know what that's all about, but
No,
yeah.
I think you're talking about buying Coke, aren't you? On a broken vending machine.
Sugar-free, definitely.
Yeah,
Sugar-free all the way.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, they would just do. But I have to go, like, the Sam Draper goal.
Oh.
Is that why football... It was Justin Madden out of the centre versus a VFL Park many years ago. It was...
There's been some amazing goals this year.
It was like you just need to do that song playing, or the Benny Hill soundtrack, because it just, the big guys aren't supposed to do that. I will say something though, Jamie. It's okay to do it in round 18. Do it in a prelim, Maxi Gorn style. Link up talking to us. That was a ripper. That's your goal of the year.
I think
That should be goal of the year.
I think so, because he had his first 3 kicks for goals and were all goal of the year contenders.
Nah. The Jeremy Cameron kicked a belter on the the Friday night where he went one way and then went the other and slotted it from the boundary. That was, you can't beat that, mate. You can't beat that. Give it off, get it back, sidestep. They were saying a boomerang. It wasn't a banana. It was a check side or a boomerang.
I love boomerangs.
Yeah, I love
it. Every time I see a boomerang or a check side or whatever,
yeah,
I love it.
Anybody can kick around the corner, but the check side, the boomerang, that's what it is. Not a banana. It's not a banana. Banana goes the other way. Check side goes the other way.
They aren't as uncommon as they used to be, though, Peps, because a lot of players don't have 2 feet anymore. They just got the 1 foot, so they have to kick on the outside.
Well, what have you said for years, mate? Athletes aren't footballers, and footballers aren't athletes.
I'm pretty sure that's what you've been saying for years.
I've been saying it too. It just goes to show. All right, that's around the grounds. Couple of quick things that I wanted to quickly bring up. The rule change, the Daffy Duck is no longer. So just if you haven't heard, umpires have been instructed not to pay free kicks for players they are believing that they are the ones who are responsible from high contacts. So anybody who's seen to not use their prior opportunity for creating high contacts through shrugs, drops, arm lifts, play on should be called. I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Well, it's a change to the rule that was imposed for Ginnivan that no one was communicated over the weekend about. How many frees should he have had over the weekend that weren't given, but it wasn't communicated to the clubs?
Oh, fair enough. Good point. But that's the AFL, isn't it? They just do what they want.
But I agree. If you are shrugging, ducking, diving, lifting, whatever you're doing, that's your prior. You're gone.
Duck dive. You sound like the guy from Dodgeball. If you can duck a high tackle, you can duck a wrench. North have kicked off a discussion with the AFL regarding a priority pick in the 2020 draft.
Watch this space. That's going to go. Ben Mafia's going to go next.
He went. James Gallagher, head of strategy, went to the league to have a chat about it, etc.
Yep.
Don't do it.
What?
Don't do it.
Don't take a pick.
Priority picks are not the answer. They're not the answer.
Okay.
Just don't keep putting your hand out for charity. Just
when
balls up.
When have they asked for charity before?
I'm just saying, don't put your hand up and get it. Just don't. We eventually went, no, we're not going to do it, and look what happened.
The only thing I'm disappointed in is the fact they gave away their second pick in the draft. They traded it away, which it shouldn't have.
Yeah, shouldn't.
But the AFL will give it to them. You know that.
Probably. And former Richmond defender Ty Zantuck has pushed for greater legal action. So we were talking about legal action, and that's been a significant step in the Victorian Supreme Court as well too. So that's going to be one that's going to come out because he had to retire. 77 games. He's had bad concussions, coming down to injections that he had at Richmond, playing with injuries that they knew were there. Didn't tell him about it or whatever it might be. And I'm saying that with not verbatim, just from what I've heard.
Yeah, poor injury management.
Yep.
Blah 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 blah.
Yep. Exactly right.
Not. What was the thing? Was it an unsafe workplace or something like that? I think he was going for
unsafe workplace. Yep. Unsafe workplace. So that's another thing there. Alrighty. Rising Star. Okay. The Rising Star this week for round 18. We've mentioned him a moment ago. The Dynamo from Hawthorn, Josh Ward. He produced his best performance on the weekend at the MCG, amassing a career high 34 disposals, including 6 clearances and 8 score involvements in the 25-point victory. So good on to you, young fella, the Rising Star.
Well done, Joshua.
Look, you're going to enjoy the dinner. You're going to be chatting there with some young blokes, but let's be honest, Nick Dacos has got it, so no one's going to get close. Hey, J-Dog, really quickly, I have to get this one going because...
Oh, you love this.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Got some trade news coming through.
It is the season.
Bling, bling, bang, the dollar bills. Ching, bling, bling, chicken wing.
Greedy boys.
Greedy boys. Now, we're doing this Splash the Cash. It is trade news, not just contract news, because there is a bit going around at the moment. All right, really quickly. Looks like there could be an exodus from Freo, just in preparation to try and free up that cash for Luke Jackson in the draft. Rory Lobb, Blake Acres, Connor Blakely, and Griffin Logue are yet to commit this season.
Well, Lobb was non-committal this time last year. And
wanted to go back to GWS.
Yep.
I don't understand why you'd want to leave this club at the moment, but
Whatever.
obviously they want Jackson in, and if they want Jackson in, they're going to have to pay us a hell of a lot. Tim Taranto, Jacob Hopper, still yet to sign. Both will be valuable additions to most clubs. Which one would you take, J-Dog? Would you take Taranto or Hopper?
I'd take TT.
I'll take
Toronto.
Hopper. I think they're two completely different players, but they're both crackers. Hopper looks like maybe getting some interest from South Australia, and Tim Taranto, Carlton, Essendon, St Kilda, Richmond, Collingwood, Geelong. You know, all the usual suspects.
List the Victorian clubs, yeah.
Yep. Carl Amon could get a first-round draft pick for Port
Perfect.
Adelaide if the
See you
rumoured
later.
contract comes to fruition.
Bye.
Jamie, see you
Bye.
later. Shouldn't get jack shit for him. Jackson and Brayshaw have not signed. I reckon Brayshaw will stay, and I think Jackson, if they can get the trade done, he'll go. But if not,
No.
he'll be happy to stay for 2 more.
2 for 1, Qantas.
Oh, that's no. We're going to trade Jackson and get Brayshaw in return. So both Brayshaws beat the fees. And question, this is totally left field. Will Liam Jones get another chance at another club next year, do you reckon?
The forgotten one.
Yeah. Well, now because of the whole COVID thing, we don't have to worry about it. What do you reckon?
Was he fired? What is his contract status?
No, he just left. His contract status is it's been cancelled because of the COVID thing.
So he's a
But
free
now
agent.
Carlton, I think he'd be a free agent, yeah, because he hasn't got a contract. But Carlton now looking to get compensation if somebody signs him up
You fired him.
because
I mean,
but the he left, and because of the COVID rules. Now the AFL are backflipped. They're going, well, you backflipped on the rule. We lost this player, and now he's going somewhere else. We should get something in return. I don't really have much of an issue with it. Rightio. Question
St.
of
Kilda.
the week.
St Kilda will have him.
St Kilda will get him. Oh, no. I reckon I was about to say he'd go all right at the Western Bulldogs. He came from there to go.
Well, that's where apparently he was spotted in a conversation.
Oh, interesting. Alrighty. Last thing to sort of wrap this one up. Question of the week. All right. So the first question of the week, we're going to put up two. One footy related, which is
The brothers?
who would you prefer? Which brothers set would you prefer? The Kings or the DeConings? Which
Or
one
the
do you prefer?
Dacos.
Okay. Or the Dacos.
Or the Pepper Wallaces.
Or just Jamie and me. Simple as that. The second one that we're going to throw up is this. Jamie,
Yes.
you go out for dinner with friends,
don't
mates,
have many.
colleagues.
Yep.
Oh, I'd go out with you.
Thanks, mate.
And at the end of the day, at the end of your meal, you've just had a meal, couple of beers. Everybody else has been
Pao
loading
chicken?
up wine.
Kung Pao?
Yeah, Kung Pao chicken, dumplings, all the good stuff.
Good.
Bottles of wine, etc. You know what you've had.
Where are you taking me?
Flower drum.
Oh, hey, shit.
Yep.
I definitely know my bill then.
So the question is this:
Mm-hmm.
Do you, J-Dog, pay individually, or do you split the bill when you go out with a group of people? Are you a pay for what you ate, so do you pay individually, or do you split the bill?
Do you want my answer now?
Yeah.
What were there beers going, or were there like bottles
beer,
of wine?
So you've had 2 beers, but they've been having cocktails, bottles of wine, all that sort of jazz. You know what?
Do you know
people are
what?
like
Do you
when they
know
go out
what?
for dinner? What?
I am splitting that bill, and I am paying for what I drank and ate. It gets too messy with a 3-way split of groups, because what if you drank a cocktail and only had beers? What if
That's
you
what
ordered 2 appetizers and only had a main?
That's what I mean. I'm an individual guy. I pay individual. No split the bill bullshit, because I usually have 2 beers. I'm not the spirits. I'm not on the wines. I'm not on that crack.
But if you and I have lunch,
and
we're going
split
1
it.
for 1 and
yeah,
whatever,
because
yeah.
we're the same. We're cut from the same cloth.
We
you know?
split it. Because
Yeah,
I
we
know that
split
I'm
it.
going to have a beer, you're going to get a beer. Hey, mate, just 2 beers, thanks. Cheers,
2 beers,
mate.
2
Bang.
beers. 5
And we know
cougars, thanks.
down the middle, we're going to share a whole chicken together.
That's it.
And we're going to have 3 or 4 beers.
Legs and thighs, breasts for boys. You know,
And
yep.
we know that it's pretty much even anyway. You're going to buy me an ice cream later, I'm going to buy you a beer later, whatever it is.
I'll give you
But
a
when
reach
you've got-
round. You'll give me one. It all pans out for everybody.
When you've got a big group, that gets messy.
Yeah, it gets messy. But
Because wine costs this much, cocktails cost that much, beers cost that much.
if you know what you've had, like I've had one beer and I've had a main, and you've had all this. No, sorry, work it out yourself.
Do you wanna-
I'll
do you
transfer
wanna-
the money to your account?
Do you want to out someone, Peps?
Huh?
You
No,
wanna
no, no.
out someone?
I'm just interested to sort of find out whether you're a which way you swing.
What would you do?
Oh,
like
yeah.
it.
Which way would you do? So I just want to find out what our community would do. Alrighty. Couple of things. Once again, if you haven't done so, leave us a review. Get on iTunes. Get on Spotify. Give us 5 stars. That's what we're worth. Tell your mates. Tell your cousins. Tell your aunties, your Anna, your Nana. Tell everybody how good we are. This week, Tipped Out will be back this week once again. Hopefully, J-Dog can join us. If he can't, he'll give me my tips. He was actually pretty good last week. I did pick North,
You did.
and I didn't pick anybody else. I really got 3. That's how bad I went. But you were a lot better.
Yeah, I did better.
Awesome stuff. And we'll see you back for another huge week. So share the podcast. Tell everybody about it. More importantly, we thank each and every single one of you for joining us. I'm Chris Pepper with my co-host with the most, Jamie Wallis. We love him. Great to have you back. But most importantly, Jamie, as we do, I've got to ask you the question. J-Dog, Jamie Wallis of Port Adelaide, who are not going to play finals this year. How do you want your footy?
I want to lace out, of course, Peps.
Have a great week, listeners. Hope your team wins.
See you, listeners.